What's up everyone, it's me Paul and welcome back to my channel where we talk about tech, consulting, and personal development. I know I've been a little busy with life lately, especially with the pandemic going on still and with work. But today I'm extremely excited to talk about Googling, also known as the method of finding info on basically anything. Fun fact, the word Google actually became an official verb in the dictionary back in 2006. That's only 8 years since Google was founded. How crazy is that Google, or Googling, had such a major impact on our lives on such a global scale? Crazy. Anyways, let's get right into it. The question of the day is, why is Googling so important to software developers, engineers, or consultants, or basically anyone who works in the tech world? Well, Google helps us solve problems. So what does that really mean? What that means is that we're humans, and simply, it is impossible for us to remember everything there is about programming inside our head, or know everything there is to programming. And that, my friend, is why Google becomes useful. How it works is that the Google search engine will go through the vast virtual space we know as the internet and gather as much information as it could. You can think of Google as being the largest help library out there, having all sorts of information that us developers can use. That can range from displaying relevant documentations to even understanding console log errors. In our everyday job as developers, engineers, we encounter so many problems. And believe it or not, many of those problems that we encounter have been solved by some random stranger on the internet before. And so with the help of Google, we can actually use those answer solutions to our own advantage. It really saves us time by not reinventing the wheel, meaning that for us, we don't need to come up with our own solution from scratch, which could take hours, days, or even months. How great is that? Having the skill to quickly and efficiently find information to solve our problems is so invaluable, especially in this day and age where we are so agilely driven. I know what you're thinking right now. Cool, Paul, I get it. This is really awesome and all, but what's the point of even getting a degree in computer science or some other related majors like that if we can just use Google every single day of our lives to solve our problems? Great question. Let me break it down for you. When you go down a common path to become a software developer, you would attend a 4-year university or college to pursue a bachelor's of science. And while you're in college, you're taking all these classes like learning new programming languages or learning about the SDLC, which is the software development lifecycle, or even frameworks and architecture designs. These courses and knowledge that you have obtained over the 4 years or whatever years you have attended college will really help lay that foundation for you. This allows you to have a breadth of knowledge to understand the different parts of technology, the components, and how those components play together to form a program. Imagine this, you are given a task to make your grandma's special spaghetti dish for dinner. You will first need to know the process of cooking, like knowing how to use the stove or even boiling water. Once you get that basic skill sets to learn how to use the stove and boil water, you can then go on to ask more complicated questions like how long to boil the water for to make that pasta al dente, or what type of sauce to use to complement the pasta to make it taste like your grandma's recipe. We can relate this back to technology. For example, once you learn how to set up your project on your local machine, you can then start asking the more complicated questions like which programming languages are better suited for the application that I'm trying to build, whether it's C# or JavaScript to build a website. Essentially, Googling helps you with a very specific task or question. This is where you need to critically think about what exactly you need and frame it so that Google can understand in order to grab that best solution for you. And many people struggle with this part of Googling, including myself. Googling is a skill set that really depends on your analytical and problem-solving skills. But the good thing is that, like many other skill sets, Googling can be mastered with practice and time. So in order to master Googling, you need to understand and practice the two parts of the process, which is analyzing the problem and framing the question. Let's take a look at these two parts in more detail. The first part of Googling is really to turn your problem into a more specific one. This can be done by either breaking down the problem into smaller chunks of the problem or diving a little deeper into the problem. You may think that your problem is already so small and specific, but many times that may not be the case, and it can be too broad or too generic. So let's go back to the web application that we're designing. You may be implementing a new functionality where you're clicking on a continue button to go to the next page. However, the problem is that every time you click on the continue button, nothing is happening. you're not navigating to the next page and it's not loading the next page. So if you go to Google and type this in, you might get the answer you're looking for to solve this particular problem. But probably that won't be the case because it's not specific enough. You can break this problem down a little bit more and actually go into your code and analyze what's really going on in there. Like, are you sure that you typed in the syntax correctly? Or are you sure that your HTML button has a on-submit functionality? By making analyses like these, you can better frame your question for Google to answer your question. Now let's say you analyze your code and you found out that your HTML button doesn't have this on-click functionality. And you realize, maybe this could be the problem. So you want to test this out, but you don't know the syntax of it. So what do? You go to Google. This leads us to the second part of the process, which is framing your question. Now in this question, you must think about the specific situation you're in and include that in your query for Google to really understand what you're looking for. Here's a couple questions that I use in my everyday job to help me find the best solutions when I'm Googling. The first question is it a what, a why, or a how? In this question, you're really asking, do you want to know what something is, or why something works a specific way, or how to actually do something in a specific way? The second question is, what exactly is that you want to know? In our case, what we want to know is how to implement the syntax for a on-click functionality. The third question is, are there any other specific information that Google needs from you? In our case, we want to use this on-click functionality within a button. Also, we want to actually use this button to go on to the next page. The fourth question I ask myself is, what programming language or technology are you currently using? In our case, we are using JavaScript to build our web application using the Vue.js framework. Now that you have answered these 4 questions, we can put all this information together into one query, which is how to add on-click function on a button to go to the next page. Vue JavaScript. And boom, there you go. There's gonna be a list of sites for you to go through and search and find the best solution that fits your need. However, if you think that this is not narrow enough for your solution or is not specific enough to your problem, then you can redo the process going back to the top and repeat it from step number 1, breaking down the problem, and then reframing the question again. This will help you narrow down your problem even more. I want to share some tips and tricks for you that I've learned through the process of Googling for the past couple of years. Some of you may or may not know that sometimes you can add certain keywords into your search query to help you find the more specific results. The first tip that I want to share with you is using the keywords around date. You can include in your search query before colon or after colon to specify a time frame. For example, if you're looking for a Vue.js solution that want to be the most recent, you may include that after colon 2019 because you don't want 2014 or 2015 search results because those solutions may be outdated and no longer helpful or useful. The second tip that I want to give is using the keyword of solve. By adding this solve keyword, you're telling Google to look for any web pages or any forums that include a verification by multiple users saying this is the right solution to this specific question. By doing something like this, you're actually getting input from multiple users online, verifying that the solution that you chose will be the correct solution. Another tip would be using the keyword of Stack Overflow. For those of you who don't know what Stack Overflow is a forum where multiple developers or any people online can chime in and give their input or opinion on a certain solution to a question. By adding Stack Overflow to your question, you can go directly to this forum instead of going to any other web pages, and that may make you read the articles or go through a paywall. Instead, you can go to this forum and look through multiple solutions at once and see what best fit your need. The fourth tip that I can give you is using the minus keywords, where you can add in minus the word that you want to subtract out from your search results. For example, if you're using Vue.js frameworks, you don't want to include any Angular or React into your search results. So you can actually use minus Angular or minus React to exclude those results from your search results. And now when Google displays your search results, it's purely Vue.js, and you can freely go through each site knowing that each solution is directly for your application. Another tip that I can give you is that you can actually copy and paste your console log errors into Google. So when you see code 100705, it's not really human readable, and you don't know what the heck that really does or mean. So when you paste it into Google, Google will help you find a bunch of search results where people talk about it and actually lead you to the right solution. Overall, Google is a very powerful tool, but it can be even more powerful if you know how to use it efficiently. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and comment below if you find any other cool Google tips or tricks. See you next time. Bye.